I get a lot of people asking me how we were blessed to walk away from corporate America in our early 30s. Well, listen, I don't want to keep that a secret. I want to share it with the world. And so maybe you're listening to this podcast and you're trying to figure out, how do I even get started on my journey of entrepreneurship and getting to a level of freedom? Well, text the word freedom to 737 777 9909. Enter your information in, and we look forward to sharing some information with you. A proven system with small overhead, right? That you can do part-time, spare time, right from the comfort of your home, and have amazing mentors, coaches, and a community of entrepreneurs who are willing to support you and help you on your journey to freedom. Welcome to Code Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales. Have you ever felt stuck? Have you ever felt like there's got to be more than life than the reality that you see every day? Tune in weekly, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays as we crack the codes to freedom in every area of your life. Well, welcome to Code Freedom. This is Eddie Bales, and I have a special guest with me today. On episode 108, we have Mr. David Quattlebaum. And David Quattlebaum has been a great friend of mine for many, many years now. Probably only over 10 years, right? Maybe 15?
Yes, maybe 15.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. We are business partners, but also great friends. And, matter of fact, you guys have heard me say on this podcast when we talked about marriage, it's about the marriage, not the wedding. And he's the one that said that. So he has no idea how many times I've quoted that to other people. So I appreciate that nugget that I got, 10 years ago from him when I got married. So anyway, welcome to the show, Mr. David Quattlebaum.
Thank you, sir. I count it as an honor. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. Happy to have you here. And so this episode is titled Phone Home Dad to At-Home Dad. And, just tell us a little bit about, first off, your background, who you are, and then we'll kind of lead into our title after that.
Sure. Well, my name is David Quattlebaum, originally from Washington, D.C. Now I live in upstate New York. My background is that of I would say a child that was raised by a strong mom and a dad that we saw on weekends, but still had some input in our upbringing, and a strong family of believers. And so we had a good footing, good foundation on what's right and what's wrong, what's our guideline. And I had a mom who was not a friend, but she was a mom, meaning she loved like a mom, she cared like a mom, but she disciplined like a mom because she was raising two boys. And in the inner streets of Washington, D.C., the southwest side of D.C., it was important that you always had a good rule. We used to call it the golden rule, right? And so I got married. Well, I was an average student in high school. I was able to use my athletic ability to get recruited for football. University of Iowa was one of the scholarships that I received. However, I decided to go to a school in upstate New York because of the coach, who was a Super Bowl MVP, a former NFL player, and he reached out to me, and I figured my goal was to go to the NFL. So decided to go to the school. The summer I came to camp, he was forced to resign. Now I could have turned around and went on to University of Iowa, but I got locked into the culture. I thought that upstate New York was like New York City. So my goal was to party for 2 years and then get serious. But I was surprised when I found nothing but cow patches and wheat farms, and wasn't much to do but to study. So I got into my major, graduated with a computer science degree. Thought for sure that the road to 6 figures as soon as I graduate. Easy road. Well, I found out it wasn't so easy. The year I graduated, there was a recession, which was 1990. And before I graduated, ran into some good friends. I was always in the gym, but never knew who they were until we started becoming more friends and chatting with them. And they were state troopers. And they said to me one Saturday, hey, you need to go take this test. And I said, what, a police test? I said, no, me and police don't get along. I never got in trouble, but I'm a computer science major, not a criminal justice major. They said, take it. So I went and took the test and scored high. So then it became a challenge. Like, how far can I go with this? Went to the academy, got an opportunity to be a cadet and go through the state police academy, and learned a lot. Learned a lot about what I wanted and what I didn't want. And I was so close to graduating. I said, you know what? I worked so hard to get this degree. And in the state police, you had to bid your way back to the zone that I was going to school. It would have taken me maybe 5, 6 years. So I resigned, came back to school, got my degree, and did some work in the community, and then became a programmer, computer programmer. Around that time, I got married, and shortly after, we started having children. I have 3 daughters, and I was a programmer, but then I became a network engineer because it was a little more stable. I had to do as much learning, because every time, with software, you have to learn new code in order to update your software. So I was able to become a network engineer and get certified as a network engineer, which meant more money. Wife and 3 daughters. My wife was a stay-home mom, and I thought that was important, but I was missing out on a lot of things and miserable. And they would, the company would send you out to nice places, and they would pay you well. You had a cell phone and a pager. That meant you were important. What it really meant is that they could keep tabs on you Monday through Sunday, right? So I was miserable because I was finding myself leaving events, not being able to get to church, celebrating my birthday party from my office with the family coming in and bringing me a cupcake and some balloons. And I said, this is good, but see, there's got to be more. And it really hit me when I was away for 2 months on a project in New York City. And I listened to my middle daughter's first recital. She played the flute, and it was her first recital. I listened to it while I was on the train because my wife was at the recital representing me. And I said, money is something you can always make, but time, once time is gone, is gone. I can never get that experience back. So I drew the line in the sand. I was praying, and the Lord opened up a door, a vehicle came, and I started my business. And a few years later, I went from being a phone home dad to an at-home dad. And it allowed me to be able to see my daughters, be involved in school functions, concerts, sports events, graduations, college orientations. And I thank God these 3 girls now are, I call them the 3 ladies with the 3 college degrees without debt and without a loan. And that's not brag on me, but I just know that the God that I serve provides vehicles and answers prayers. And it might not look like what you think it should look, but the ultimate results is that you will be blessed. And I've been truly blessed to have those 3 daughters get their college degrees, and 2 of them are graduating with their masters in the next 12 months.
Wow, what an incredible story. And you just dropped so many gems even in your story. But let me ask you, now that you're able to be a stay-at-home dad, what kind of impact do you think that's had over on your daughters, like from what you've observed? being at home versus maybe when you weren't at home?
Yeah. One of the things that I know is very impactful is that, especially when when my girls were in middle school and high school, if they forgot their flute, for example, they knew dad could bring the flute out to the school. There have been several occasions where they weren't feeling well. Well, then they had to wait around the nurse's office. They made the phone call and dad came and got them. So there was that sense of resource for them, that sense of a parent is always available to them. And I think that helped them make decisions. It helped them to be a little bit more freer in making decisions because they knew that the dad and mom was there to support them and that they weren't on their own. And that does a lot for a child when they have a sense of um, regiment, a sense of consistency and limitations. They just knew with some things they weren't wearing walking out the door and that dad could see what they were wearing. And a couple of occasions I have to say, where are you going with that? No, go change up. So those kind of things, they may seem small, but they're huge because not being there could lead to a lot of things. And I just thank God that you put us in a position to help them with their self-esteem, be able to pour in them and be a father figure instead of a father image. And I think that's important.
Wow, that's so good. A father figure instead of a father image, man. And you know, like I can't even imagine what life could be like if you hadn't been involved like you have been. So I mean, I just think that's so admirable and so exciting. Because you know, not only we're talking about having a life of freedom, but we're talking about why you want to have the life of freedom so that you can, you know, be able to spend time with your family, your kids, and just really be involved in their lives. We talk about being able to provide, but we also talk about being able to be there. And one shouldn't sacrifice for the other, but in society, that's typically what happens. And usually it's the time that sacrifices so the money can be made. You know what I mean? But you were blessed to have to do both.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom was a great example of the sacrifice because she worked two jobs. And my mom, she had, now that I'm older and I understand, she worked for the FBI and she worked for the AFL-CIO. Both of those jobs were huge jobs. So we didn't lack anything. Like we lived we lived in an apartment, but it was laid. I mean, we had custom made furniture, paintings, all kind of stuff. But the sacrifice she made was so that we wouldn't want anything. But what we missed was a lot of that time frame, that time or that interaction because she typically was at work. So when we got home from school, um, there was a list of things, chores to do that were on the refrigerator. And, then I could go outside and play. And that was important, that was good, but I knew that if something happened outside, mom wasn't home, my older brother was home. He was only 2 years older than me, so it wasn't like, there was an authority figure there. So sometimes we depended on my best friend's father who lived downstairs and his mother, because typically they were home. So my mom died passed away when I was 10. And I can always remember walking to the store and the conversations, her teaching us across the street, a busy street. Some of the corrective things that she taught us as we were kids developing. And those lessons, to this day, I'm 53, those lessons I still remember very clearly. So just imagine if we could have multiplied those interactions, those lessons, right? So that's why time is so important. Invested quality time is very important.
Yeah, you just made a good point because I mean, don't get me wrong, you want to provide, but I mean, I would almost venture to say in some ways the time is more important than the money Meaning that if you could be there but maybe make less, it would probably have more impact than making more money and not being there. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. We have so many examples of that. Look at Serena and the Williams sisters.
And Venus.
Venus, yes, Serena and Venus. Their dad was there, right? He's the one in Compton, California. He's the one that took him out to the tennis court. He's the one that spent hours. Now, I don't know if he had a part-time job or what kind of income stream, but I do know he was there. He was the coach, right? He was the dad. And so he was the promoter. So look at the Ball brothers, right? You hate him or like him or not, the father is there. And he was there at the games, he was there during practice, and he became their promoters. And I say that to say, you're absolutely right, Mr. Bells. Time is essential, because money can always make, but time, once it's gone, it's gone. You can't get it back. I wish I could get my 20s back, right? But they're gone. They're gone. So,
right, good stuff. Well, tell us a little bit about what having this life of freedom has done for you. I mean, we talked about for your family, but what kind of things have you been able to do, or just what kind of lifestyle have you been able to kind of live just because you put yourself in position consciously to go down a path that most people don't go down, but it's allowed you to have a different lifestyle that most people just don't have?
Well, you said it. Go down the path that most people don't go down. So what this lifestyle has allowed me to do is, one, meet life on my own terms, in terms of life is coming, but I get a chance to meet it at my own terms. So having some autonomy about where I place my values, where I place my focus, that freedom. Les Brown said it. He said, once the minds expand, it never conforms back to where it was. And once you taste freedom, you can't get that taste out of your mouth. So it has allowed me to really spend time looking at me and developing who I am. It's allowed me to not have the pressures of other people's opinion that controls my actions. It's allowed me to form friends and bonds with people like yourself that are so forward thinking that you can't help but to catch up with them, because they're thinking ahead, they're thinking in a different way than the way you were taught, the way you were taught in college, the way you were taught in the corporate America. And it just it's a freer experience, right? And I noticed that when I'm around other people and I talk to family and others, sometimes it's like we're on two different levels, two different paths. One is talking about the next job, and the other is talking about how they can empower and protect more people by what they have and what they've been able to acquire. So it's truly been a blessing.
Good stuff. That's exciting, and it's exciting to see that is possible, and that others can live that same life. And that's what we talk about on this podcast all the time. It's just different ways and strategies, but different mindsets, and we're not even just talking about freedom, just like in having the time and having the money, but we're talking about every area of your life, from health to mental, the physical, everything you could think of. We try to talk about those things on this podcast. So you've really been a major gem here with us today. So, let me just say, I'll kind of end with this last question. I know it wasn't like a straight up journey, right? I'm sure there were some ups and downs. Tell us a little bit about, maybe some tough times or some tough situations you've been in, but you were able to kind of stay the course, and it's allowed you to live this lifestyle, because I would venture to say it's not easy. I know it's not easy because I live the same lifestyle, but if you don't mind talking a little bit about that.
Sure. There's a great book called the Entrepreneur Roller Coaster, right? And it just really speaks about the ups and downs. And I think one of the things that uh, is necessary to understand, and it comes through personal development, and that is that there's no reward without sacrifice. That's biblical, right? There's no reward without sacrifice. And when your why is so big, the sacrifice don't really matter. And my why, again, was for my kids to be able to go to whatever school they wanted to for college. We've achieved that. Now my why is a little bit broader than that. It's another layer. So the naysayers, those who doubt that what you're doing makes sense to them. And one of my business partners, Darnell Self, said this. He said, "Listen, well, you say you're a plumber. Your granddad was a plumber." He said, "What's wrong with being a plumber?" He said, "Nothing's wrong with being a plumber unless you don't want to be a plumber, right?" So I didn't want to be constrained by the rules of corporate politics that determine how I act, how I related to my family, and how much time I had. So the ups and downs of dealing with people who may not agree with the mindset of freedom, because without freedom, with freedom comes a lot of responsibilities. With freedom comes a lot of challenges. But, it's not worth it if it's easy. Sometimes, victories are really based on opposition, right? No opposition, no reward, no wins. So games, I play football. If we didn't have a defense to run against, we'd be running up and down the field. It wouldn't be competitive. So you got to look at it in terms of these are just levels of climbing the mountain. And sometimes it's the internal struggle. That self-talk can really be damaging. So you have to be careful on what you say to others, but more importantly, be very careful on what you say to yourself, and being around like folks, like-minded, who are positive without losing their identity, right? Not clones, but positive, helps you to say, listen, be encouraged. Whatever you're doing, be encouraged. And I think that's a key factor with this journey, because you're right, it's not easy, but it's worth it.
Wow, that's so good. And you just brought to attention something, because you said that with this mindset comes, with this journey comes responsibility. And I'll just share something real quick. I was with I do a lot of nonprofit work now, and just kind of serving in the community. I've always done that, but just recently someone asked for more male figures to kind of help with some of the young guys that are coming up in some of the impoverished neighborhoods. And in my mind, I was thinking, oh man, I don't want to overextend myself. Am I too busy? But then the more she was talking, I was thinking, it's a responsibility. Like, I have to use this time that I have, or make time to have impact on him, to hit on somebody's life, if that makes sense. And so to me, that's a sense of responsibility that I have with this freedom that I have. So I just love that you touched on that, because it just really brought that to my mind. But hey, listen, this has been a great episode, and I would love for some of our listeners to be able to connect with you however you like. So how can our listeners to connect with you?
Yes, sir. Well, I can be reached at by email at DQ the Alpha. That's DQT as in Tom, H as in Harry, E as in Edward, A as in Alpha, L as in Lion, P as in Paul, H as in Harry, A as in Alpha, DQ the Alpha at gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook under the name David, D-A-V-I-D, Quattlebaum, Quattlebaum. And I'm also in LinkedIn under that same name. So please Instagram under DQ the Alpha. So please feel free to contact me. I would love to hear from your audience. And thank you so much, Mr. Bells, for allowing me this platform to kind of share.
No problem. What a wonderful interview this has been. It's just exciting to know that people can go on this journey and they can see light at the end of the tunnel. So what an example you've been, and we appreciate you for sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, hey, this is another episode of Code Freedom. This is episode 108, and we can't wait to see you on the next episode. Take care, everyone. God bless. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for listening. Definitely feel free to take a screenshot of this episode, tag me in it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you find me on social media. I would love to give you a shout out. Hey, you might even get a prize. Who knows? But excited that you had a chance to take a listen. I hope you got a lot of value. And definitely feel free to give us 5 stars as well as a review. Show us some love, and we appreciate you. God bless you all, and see you all over the top.